Everybody, and welcome to the show today. So today we're going to be diving in. We're going to be talking about 7 different reasons that you should establish business credit. And we're also going to be talking about kind of the process or 7 different ways that you're actually able to do it. So before we jump in, let me introduce myself for those that don't know me. My name is Ty Crandall. I'm actually the CEO here at Credit Suite. And at Credit Suite, this is what we do. What we do is specialize in helping companies build business credit for their EIN that's not linked to their social security number. I often say that we just help take years of this process and condense it down into only months. So if you ever have questions, if we can help you with business credit building, if you'd like to expedite your results, or if you're interested in getting any kind of loan or credit line, feel free to reach out to us. Our phone number is 877-600-2487, 877-600-2487, info@creditsuite.com is our email. And at the bottom of my slides, you're going to see a great resource for a free guide that you can use that maps out the steps of building business credit, which is at creditsuite.com/EIN. So let's start at the beginning. So when we talk about business credit, we're ultimately talking about credit for a business. It's credit that's under an actual business EIN number, or under, I should say, the business name and under its EIN. So a lot of people have a misconception here. They think business credit's built under Dun & Bradstreet's DUNS number, and that's not the case. Business credit's actually linked to the business's EIN number, much the same as your personal credit's linked to your personal social. So it's not associated with your personal credit when you do it the right way, meaning that there are some credit issuers like Capital One, for example, that still issue credit cards that report on both your personal and your business credit reports. But a lot of corporate credit only reports on your business credit reports, and it can be obtained without consumer credit pulls. So it doesn't need you to have good credit to get approved. You can get it without even looking at your personal credit, and it doesn't report on your personal credit report because it's EIN credit. It's not SSN credit. So because these two things are different, when you follow the steps we're talking about today, you're ultimately building a credit profile that's not associated with your personal credit or your social security number. Now, business credit and personal are separate at this point, which is, if you look at, we've got a great page on our website called creditsuite.com/legit, LEGIT. And we have that page because so many people respond to Facebook ads and our YouTube videos and just do not understand business credit. They think it's a scam. They don't think it could be done legally, all these crazy things. But if you go to creditsuite.com/legit, you'll see NASDAQ and SBA and Inc. and Entrepreneur, Forbes, QuickBooks, all the financial authorities out there. This is one of the reasons they talk about why you want to build business credit, is because you're separating your personal and business credit profiles. You're separating your business and personal credit or your business liability. And the scores diverge dramatically. Scores are very different in the consumer and business world. Credit scores in the consumer world range up to 850, whereas in the business world, the highest score you're going to get is 100. I like to think that business credit scoring is very, very simple compared to consumer credit scoring, because business credit scores, it's only based on one thing: how you pay your bills. You pay your bills on time, you get a good score. How early you pay determines what your score is. And it's 0 to 100, with 100 being the best you can get. I mean, we can all relate to that. So it's just very easy to understand and be able to control. Now, this is credit that's, again, based on the business's ability to pay, not the business owners. The minute I talk about how you can get credit without a personal credit check, that alone breeds skepticism. But it's possible because the whole purpose of business credit is for your business to fund itself. It's your business is showing an ability to pay. So because it has a track history of paying its bills, then your social, your personal credit isn't needed. So that's really what it is when you do this the right way, then you're obtaining business credit without a personal credit check, because again, your business is able to stand on its own. Now, again, the more credit you build, the more you'll be able to attain where you stand on your own. In the beginning, you're getting vendor accounts, net 30 type accounts. You then get up to a point where you're getting store credit cards at Staples and Office Depot and Dell and Apple. And then you end up progressing from there to fleet credit cards for fuel repairs and auto vehicle financing and Visa cards and MasterCards. And then to ever get loans based only on business credit won't happen in a lot of cases. But when it does, it's years and years down the road road when you have extremely well-established business credit profiles and scores. And at that point, your business credit scores are showing your revenue, they're showing your employees, they're showing a lot of other factors other than just reported accounts. Okay, so again, the business owner isn't personally liable for this credit when it's in its business name, and you don't provide a personal guarantee, which again ties into that separation of credit and liability. So businesses have a lot greater capacity or need for credit than a consumer does. Okay, you may never spend $20,000 at Dell on home computers. You very well could spend $20,000 at Dell to be able to get computers for your office. So that's why approval limits are so much higher on corporate credit accounts. It's one of the huge benefits of building business credit, because the limits on these type of accounts are typically 10 to 100 times higher than consumer credit per SBA. We see people get the $30,000 to $40,000 limit accounts within 6 months or less. Within 6 to 12 months, we start to see people get to 50,000 and higher. We have clients that are reaching levels of 75 to 100,000 on individual accounts. We just had a client approved for $50,000 a week at Pilot Flying J, which is like a huge fuel station truck stop around the country chain. And that equates to $200,000 a month she's allowed to spend on that actual revolving account. So again, really, really, really high limits in our world compared to what you see in the consumer. And by the way, she got 50,000 at Pilot Flying J in less than a week with another business that she started building business credit with. So the limits are much higher than consumer credit. Now, again, as I mentioned, about 10 to 100 times higher per SBA. So when done correctly, business credit can be built without a personal credit check and without even putting your social security number on the application. A lot of people are fooled by this. So when I say this, a lot of people come and go, yeah, but the online application makes you supply your social. Yeah, you may be right. That's why you can call or fax in an application and not provide the social. So almost all types of corporate credit, and most stores and retailers offer corporate credit without the personal credit check. It's a matter of leaving the social off the application, which sometimes requires that you fax the application in, sometimes requires that you call the application in. There are no inquiries on your credit report. It's a huge benefit of this. So a lot of people think the business credit's only for people with bad credit. That's not the case at all. When I say it's not linked to your social, when I say that you don't provide your social and a personal credit check, it's very important for people to have good or bad credit, because an inquiry can really, really, really hurt you in the business world. In our world, one inquiry can cost you $20,000 or more in funding, literally. So we have a program called unsecured business financing where somebody can get up to $150,000 in financing even as a startup business. Pretty cool. 0% rates for 6 to 18 months. They could take the cash out on the credit lines, but inquiries matter a lot. If you have more than 6 inquiries in the last 6 months, you can't get approved. The more inquiries you have, the least amount of money you have. So we oftentimes see people put 1 or 2 unnecessary inquiries on their credit report that cost them $20,000 to $30,000 or more in funding. So you want to make sure that you keep any inquiries off your business, off your consumer credit reports as much as you can. Because if you don't, those inquiries can prevent you from getting other type of financing that you may want to get to grow the business. So business credit can be built quickly, and it can be obtained based on regardless of your personal credit quality as a result of this, because there's no inquiry, there's no personal credit check, and again, there's no reporting on the personal credit reports. This is a big deal because 30% of your FICO score is made up of what's called utilization. So for example, Capital One and I do not get along, because when I have a Capital One Spark card and they report it on my personal credit report, so I never use the card. And it also happens to be the lowest limit card I have, because when I try to raise my limits, they won't raise it because I don't use the card. And I tell them I won't use the card because they report on my personal credit reports. So we're kind of at a standstill. I don't even know why I keep that account open, beyond the fact that it just counts as a trade line on my business credit reports. So this is a big deal. You don't want things that report on your personal credit reports, because as that card is utilized, my personal scores go down. And I don't need that. That's quite honestly completely ridiculous. The fact that my consumer credit scores lower because my business is using credit and paying it off every month makes absolutely no sense. This is why business and personal credit exist. It's why there's 2 separate types of credit, because as a business owner, My business uses a lot of money on credit every month, over $100,000, probably well over that. So I don't need that to show on my personal credit report and inhibit my ability to get loans, mortgages, cars, etc. So this is why you want to separate personal and business credit, because if you don't, then the credit you're using for your business that you put on your consumer credit reports can really lower your scores because you're overutilizing those accounts. Whereas in the business world, that utilization won't affect your FICO because it only reports on your commercial credit reports. So a lot of reasons that you're going to want business credit, including the fact that all major businesses have business credit. I mean, there's none that exist. Of all the privately owned, publicly owned companies in this country that are highly successful, of the Inc. 500 per se, every one of them has commercial credit. You can pull and see how many trade lines they have. It's kind of a rite of passage to ever build a hugely successful business. So Warren Buffett, Oprah, Bill Gates, they don't put their personal assets on the line when their companies borrow money. It makes sense. A lot of people still don't believe in the legitimacy of business credit, but if you approach them and say, so you really think that Michael Dell provides his social security number when Dell is applying for a credit line? They say, well, no, of course not. But they can't mentally close the gap of how it's possible for these big companies and how it can also be possible for the small companies. Bill Gates and Microsoft, they're not getting money because Bill Gates is Bill Gates or Microsoft is Microsoft. They're getting money because if you ever pull Microsoft's credit report, you'd see over 130 trade lines on their Experian credit report alone. What a lot of people don't know is that even startups can follow the same steps that these big companies have to be able to build their credit profile and qualify for financing using that as a leading driver. And they don't need to provide a personal guarantee either. Makes sense. These big CEOs aren't getting personal credit checks and guarantees for their company because their business credit reports are deep enough that they don't need to. And this is one of the things we're going to be diving in and showing you how to do today. So again, once you have business credit, the same things become possible for you. So number one reason to establish business credit. Well, again, you're separating your business credit from your personal. You're creating a barrier so your personal assets are protected. So this is why I got into business credit. I owned a mortgage company at the height of the mortgage industry. The mortgage company collapsed. And then what happened was, since I personally guaranteed the actual credit for the mortgage company, they came and wiped out my personal assets. I mean, literally, they cleaned out my bank account because I defaulted on business debts. And then I learned the hard way what happens when you are personally liable for what happens in your business, when you personally guarantee that money. But with business credit, you're separating the liability. You're not liable for the credit you get without providing your social and the guarantee. So if you ever do default and the unthinkable happens, like the whole economy crashed like it did in my world, then what happens is they can come after the business assets, not the personal assets. So again, this is really nice because your business and you are separate, so you might be able to, the business can get sued but you can't get sued, and I shouldn't say you can't be sued, but again, it creates a layer of protection between you and the business because you didn't personally guarantee the actual debt. So the second reason, save your personal credit for your personal expenses. Okay, using your personal credit cards to pay your business expenses is going to hurt your utilization rates. The easiest way to explain this is this. Personal credit cards were not designed to fund a business. They just were not designed to do that. So it's interesting because I call my consumer and commercial credit cards regularly every 6 months and ask for the limits to be raised. And I do this because the more utilization I have in the consumer world, the better, more I could use that credit, not affect my score. I do it in the business world because we use a ton of revolving credit. So what's interesting here is that, when you're using your personal credit to try to fund your business, then what happens is you don't have the ability to use that credit the way that it was meant to be used. Consumer credit card limits are much smaller than business credit cards because they weren't used to fund a business. When you use them to fund a business, you're maxing out or putting very high balances on the cards, and that really creates substantial damage to your score. Owning a mortgage company, I can tell you many times that people people put even small increases to the balance of their credit cards and weren't able to get home loans. I've seen somebody drop their credit score 120 points by putting less than $200 on a credit card. How did that happen? Because the credit card didn't have a high limit. The limit was only $500. So when they put 200 on it, they all of a sudden went up to about 50% utilization, and that had a huge adverse impact on the score because a third of your FICO score is based on utilization, which is why you never want to use consumer credit to fund a business. So again, when we talk about utilization, it's quite simply the amount of credit you've used, the balances on your credit cards, divided into the total of available credit you have. The more that you're using the credit cards, the higher the utilization, the lower your FICO. And again, you really want this percentage to be at 30% or less. Kind of a myth here. The reality is that your utilization becomes adversely affected when you start putting any amount of money on there. Any balance on a credit card will start adversely affecting your utilization. You really want to stay in less than 2% utilization. But over 30%, the damage becomes much more severe. Once you start to have balances more than 30% of your consumer credit card limits, the FICO consumer score really starts to go low. So again, if you're using it to fund a business, this can happen very quickly, which is why you don't want to handle business expenses using personal credit. Now, you do want to establish a credit history, and you want to do it before you need to tap into it. So this is something that a lot of people talk about, which is the fact that, hey, I can't get money when I need it. Banks only lend money when you don't need it. Well, there is some sort of truth to that, because banks don't lend money to desperate people, because desperate people don't pay back their debts. They want to lend money to people that are forward thinking, that are asking for money before they need it. And keep in mind, business credit building is a process. So you need to make sure that you start the process before you need money. Otherwise, it's going to be too late. So again, credit history is one of the components that the credit reporting agencies look at. So you want to make sure that you have as good a length of credit history established as you can. The longer, the better. The more credit you have. And again, if we look at low credit scores in the commercial world, it even gives us indicators and says that the lack of time that the commercial accounts have been reported. So these can absolutely be factors. Even though payment history is mostly what comprises your score, what they're doing is they're also looking at how many trade lines you have and how long you've had those for. So when you consider what credit score is needed for a business loan, then you need every bit of the consumer credit score you can get, which is why you don't want to actually have business credit on your credit report. And it's also why if you manage and separate commercial and consumer credit, it's easier to get access to money you need when you actually need it. So you also want to prepare for lean times. If you're in a seasonal business, well, that's part of the DNA. You're going to have slower times of the year, but every business can go through these leaner times. Every business has a month that just is horrible, that doesn't correlate with the other months before it or after it. Every business has unexpected expenses that come up, has marketing campaigns that fail, has people that come back and process chargebacks and ask for refunds. This happens all the time. So the more prepared you are for this, the greater chance you have of actually succeeding. So when SBA talks about the two biggest reasons for business failure, one of them is because of this lack of access to capital. And the reason for that is because unexpected things happen to the business, and the business doesn't have enough cash on hand to get past those unexpected things. That's why majority of businesses fail. It's because they run into tough times, and all of a sudden they don't have enough money to carry them through the tough times, and that's what forces them to go out of business. So if you have to make payroll or equipment payments or cover rent, you're going to need money, as much access to money as you're going to need to be able to get yourself by. And by establishing your business credit before you need it, well, you're far more likely to get better terms when it comes to getting credit lines and loans. And you might not even get any credit at all. We see this all the time. One of the most common occurrences of somebody walking in our door saying they want to build business credit is they're a multi-million-dollar business that just got turned down for a $10,000 credit card because they don't have any established business credit. So again, you want to establish it before you need it. Not only do you have revolving credit available whenever you need to use it, but the other thing is that it helps make you more lendable. So when it comes time to getting loans and credit, you have the business credit established, which helps you get even more access to money. So the IRS says you're a business or maybe even a corporation. Now you got to start acting like one if you are a separate entity. If you have an EIN, then at some point you have to tell the IRS that your business is legitimate and not just a hobby. And it's not just really the IRS, it's everybody that looks at your commercial credit reports. You want to make sure that your credit reports reflect that you're a legitimate business. So as a result, the IRS is already treating you and your small business separately when it comes to tax liability because you have an EIN and a social. So if you're still floating interest-free loans to your business and your personal credit cards, then now is the time to cut that. You've got to create the separation. And be honest with you, it's not just the IRS, it's everybody. You have to understand that anybody that wants to can pull your business credit reports. So if you pull your own business credit report, if you looked at that, does it look like you're legitimate? Does it reflect you're legitimate? The reporting agencies all have a score that's something similar along the line of what's called a financial stress score. The financial stress score just indicates your probability of going bankrupt within the next 12 months. So the best thing to do is in the bankruptcy score will actually give you, even if you have no credit, it will be as a high risk as you can get, because the fact that you don't have established credit from the reporting agencies means that you're always near on the verge of bankruptcy. That's exactly what the score is. The score reflects your likelihood of going bankrupt. Even if you have absolutely no credit, the score is about as low as you can go and as high a risk as you can go. And by this, the reporting agencies are telling vendors, credit issuers, lenders, anybody that pulls your business credit report to make a lending decision, hey, this person is extremely high risk, borderline insolvent, borderline bankrupt, because they don't have credit established. It's a really big deal, which is why you want to establish this before you actually need it. Now, trade credit as well as that can really help you, and you should use it. Trade credits where you work directly with suppliers, some of them are even local, and you build relationships where they're basically issuing you credit. So for example, one of our clients has got $75,000 credit line at a roofing company in her community, in her local area, because she has established business credit. You, me, I don't care about a roof at all. But in her industry, that's what she does. She needs access to the supplies to do roofs. So to get $75,000 credit line is a really big deal. As you establish business credit, you're going to find a lot of trade vendors like Uline and Quill that sell products and services you're going to need, but you're going to find a lot of local places as well that will give you credit because you have established business credit, whether it's coffee, whether it's shipping supplies, whether it's packaging supplies, whether it's anything and everything else you could need. So this is a common joke, I think, in the business credit world that, hey, I don't want to go out and spend thousands of dollars in toilet paper. But you got to keep in mind, places like Quill, sell everything you could need. They sell bandit signs that you can use for marketing. They sell brochures. They do printing. They have printing services for you to do business cards and marketing flyers. So even things like a lot of marketing could even be covered by these trade credit vendors. So you're getting credit, you're building business credit at the same time, and you're getting access to real money you could use to grow your business. Now, rule number 7, or reason number 7 on why you probably want to build business credit is because it eventually means you can get bank loans for your company. So if a business opportunity is just too good to pass up, you've got to usually act pretty quickly, but you may not have that kind of money on hand. So establishing business credit means that bank loans will be granted more quickly and with better terms. It's that simple. Look, your business credit reports determine if you'll get approved or denied for credit cards and loans, the rates and terms you'll pay, and how much you'll get approved for. If you ever follow us live on Periscope and YouTube, you'll see we look at commercial credit reports all the time. And every time you look at a commercial credit report, it clearly says, here's how much money we recommend this person be lent or issued in credit. So you want to make sure that you establish business credit because you have to have it to ever get an SBA loan. It's impossible to get an SBA loan without it because you have to have a FICO SBSS score high enough to get a bank loan, which you can't without established business credit. But you also need to make sure that you do it because even if you're getting a credit card from a bank, you can get easily denied when you don't have it. Also, one other thing, throwing in a bonus here, is your payment history really matters. In fact, it affects your business credit score more profoundly because it's all based on payment history. So all you have to do to get good scores is pay your bills on time, and that alone will give you good scores. So because of that, it's really simple to be able to do this. It's easy and it's fast to build business credit if you follow the 7 steps that we're going to talk about today to be able to do so. So business credit's not going to happen automatically. Okay, you have to actively work to build your business credit, period. It's not, a lot of people think just because you have an EIN that you have business credit. That's just absolutely not the case. However, it can be done easily and quickly. It's just a matter of you knowing how to actually build it, and it's a lot faster to build than you'll ever be able to see on the consumer side. And vendors are a big part of this process. So if you try to take steps in the business credit building process out of order, you're simply just going to fail. And we see this all the time. People learn about business credit, they go into their bank to try to get a credit card and say, yeah, I want to leave my social off the application. Well, your bank's not going to approve you for a credit card because you followed the wrong steps. There's a series of steps you want to take to be successful. You can't start with your bank credit card and go down to vendor accounts. You have to follow the right steps. And if you do, well, then that's what's really going to help you be successful, is to take the right steps and do it in the right order. So ways to build business credit. Number one, building professional credibility makes a huge difference. Your business needs to be legitimate in the lenders and vendor and credit issuers' eyes. You'll need a professional looking website. You need a professional email address. Like mine is info@creditsuite.com. It's not a Yahoo or a Google or a Bing. You need to make sure you have a phone number, a toll-free number. Make sure you have a fax number. Make sure your phone number is listed with 411. These are things, especially 411, that a lot of credit issuers look at to validate your business, to see your business as legitimate, to see your business as visibly reputable is what they actually call it. So your phone number, again, should be toll-free number. Everything you put on an application needs to reflect that you're credible. You need to get a bank account set up just for your business. How do they verify this? They verify it with a bank reference. So in a lot of credit applications, you're going to see them ask for a bank reference. Well, you wouldn't have a bank reference if you don't have a business bank account. You must have all the licenses you need to operate a business the way it's supposed to be legally. Like if you're a licensed plumber, you need to have a license, right? Everything, your licenses, your bank statements, your utility statements, your Secretary of State records, online listings, they all need to be congruent. They need to have the same business information. I'd applied once with Amazon and got denied because the phone number I used on the application was not the same phone number that they did an online search and found. It happens all the time. Now, luckily, Amazon told me the reason and I knew what to fix to move forward. In a lot of cases, they won't tell you the reason, you just get denied, and then you never even know it's because of something as simple as what you put on the application wasn't the same as what they found online. So you can get a free IN number for your business. And that's one of the first things you do is after you kind of come in, start to set up your business credibly, or as part of this process, you also want to get an EIN number because you'd have to have an EIN number to get your bank account. Now, you also want to set up your entity, corporation, LLC. You can use services like LegalZoom for this, but my recommendation is go right to your Secretary of State. Just type in Secretary of State, Florida. You'll pull up the site and you'll be able to follow pretty simple prompts to set up a business. It's different price in every state. Here in Florida, it's $70 to set up a business. It's super cheap. California, like every state's more expensive on everything, and they're like $600. So it varies, but it's simple to set up an entity. You do it with your Secretary of State. Once you've done so, you can go right to the irs.gov and get your free EIN. Now, you can start off as a sole proprietor. A lot of people do because they don't have the money to get started. But at some point, you're going to have to change to some other kind of entity. You probably want to revert and do a corporation. You maybe even want to do an LLC, even though that's not really considered an entity. So an LLC or a corporation is the entity or is the selection you want to choose. But again, some people choose a sole proprietor just for money reasons. The problem with the sole proprietor and a partnership is you and the business become one and the same. So the issue there is that if you default, if the business defaults on credit, you're going to be liable and you can get sued because you and business are one and the same. Okay, so that being said, if you do not go with a DBA, if you don't want a DBA, and that's a doing business as, then your personal name is the same as your company name if you're choosing a sole proprietorship. So again, you can end up being personally liable because you are the business. Okay, and you also have a 1 in a 7 chance of an IRS audit, where there's only a 1 in a 50 chance of an audit with incorporation. Wow, that's a huge statistic. And that's one I just learned over the last couple months. So if you choose a sole proprietorship, you have a 1 in 7 chance of getting audited by the IRS. But if you choose a corporation as your entity, you have a 1 in 50 chance of getting audited. So just one more reason that you want to choose a legitimate entity like a corporation. So again, avoid confusion, significantly lower your chances of an IRS audit, make your business look credibly all at the same time. So get the credit reporting agency process off the ground. It's the next step that we're going to take here. Okay, so go to DMB's website, look for your business. Now, you can also go to creditsuite.com/reports. REPORTS, creditsuite.com/reports. At creditsuite.com/reports, there's a quick link to Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, and Experian that you could do a free search to see if they have anything about you now, to see if they even have a profile about you now. If they do, then you may want to pull your business credit reports to see what they have reporting. Now, if you can't find anything, well, then you want to make sure you get your DUNS number right from Dun & Bradstreet. You can go to creditsuite.com/DUNS, DUNS, with no dashes, even though there are dashes. I just made it simple for you to access. And that gives you a quick link to where you can get your free DUNS number. Now, DUNS number is basically it's a number with DMB. It's a 9-digit number that's used worldwide. So EIN is an identifying number to identify your business to the IRS here in the United States. The DUNS number is a 9-digit number that's used worldwide to identify your business. It's provided by Dun & Bradstreet, and you have to have it to ever get a PAYDEX score. So I see a lot of people try to build business credit, and they go, hey, DMB isn't reporting my trade lines. I got Uline and Quill. Well, they're not reporting your trade lines because you don't have 3, what you need to report with DMB, and you never got a DUNS. If you don't get a DUNS number, they'll never populate a PAYDEX score for you. So with no DUNS, no PAYDEX. So you need to make sure that you follow that process and get it set up. Now, once you're in DMB system, again, you can go to creditsuite.com/reports and do that free search with Equifax Experian as well. And that will tell you if you have something about on your profile or not. If something does pull up, then what you probably want to do is you then want to go ahead and you want to make sure that you do a free credit check with them. And let me actually show you exactly. I'll show you real quick. Let me pull up the internet here and I will come in. I'll show you exactly what this looks like. So if I go to creditsuite.com/reports, then I find basically just a quick link that lets me do a free search. So I go here, I find all 3 reporting agencies. Okay, let's go ahead and go to Dun & Bradstreet right here. Well, they'll just go ahead and do Experian. Why not? So we'll go ahead and do Experian. Now what happens is you're just simply typing in your company name. And then you're also going to come in and you're going to choose this. I don't even need to choose the state. I'm just going to choose the state instead of the company. My company, start search now. Now notice my company, other company, you can easily pull this information on other companies. I just pulled up a result. This means that they have a record for me and they also have trade lines for the business here. You can see that it says trade lines. So that's exactly the free search that you want to do at creditsuite.com/reports. Now, if nothing pulls up, they don't know you exist. If something does pull up, then you probably want to pull your business credit reports to check on the accuracy and completeness. If it pulls up a record and says no trade lines, you got an issue. Because what that means is it means they probably issued you a failing score because they know you exist and you don't have any trade lines. But if you do have trade lines, you obviously want to see what's on the report. So get your report to look at the accuracy of those reports. Okay, so again, once you start to get credit with the credit issuers following the next series of steps, then you're going to get credit that will report to all 3 of the reporting agencies. So next thing we need to do, we've set up the business credibly, got our EIN, we went ahead and got the entity set up. We came in, we did the free search, we got our DUNS number, we did a free search with all reporting agencies. Next thing you want to do is start building what's called trade credit or trade lines. These are basically accounts that report on your business credit reports. Now, a lot of these are offered like net 30 terms, which means that you have 30 days in its entirety to pay back the bill. It's not a revolving account. Sometimes it's net 10, net 15, net 60. You could buy coffee and shipping supplies and packaging supplies supplies, all different kind of things with these vendors. But you need to know that a lot of vendors are not startup vendors. So some of them will still not actually report the accounts to the business credit reporting agencies. You need to check on that. So a perfect example, for example, is Seton. Seton is, excuse me, I had to sneeze. Seton offers like all kinds of outdoor supplies, and they used to be one of the most commonly reported vendors that are out there, but they stopped reporting a couple months ago. So if you don't ask them, you wouldn't know that. If you're looking at YouTube video, like this one will be outdated within a month because so many of the vendors that are out there change. So you need to make sure that the vendors that you're using actually do report. And a simple way to do it is just by asking them. Now, you want vendors that will approve you with minimal effort. You also want them to be reporting to Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, Experian, or more than just one of those. That's called true starter credit. So when I define real starter credit, it has two requirements. One, it reports to a business reporting agency, DNB, Equifax, Experian preferably. Two, you can get it even as a startup with minimal effort. So for example, if you go to Uline and Quill will not even ask for your social security number. They won't even ask for your EIN number. The two of the easiest credit issuers to get approved for, and they're true starter vendors because they report to DNB and Experian, and anybody can get them, which is why it's a true starter vendor. So you're going to need about 5 of these accounts to move on to the next step. Somebody asked me today on YouTube, well, how do I know? I got my accounts. How do I know when to move on? We have to pull your business credit reports and see that these accounts are reporting. Once you have 5 or more, then you can move on to the next step. Now, you may have to apply more than once. Some vendors like Quill, if you just started your business yesterday, they may make you place 2 or 3 orders before they'll approve you. Others will approve you even on the first order. And you may need to buy some things you don't necessarily need. So a lot of people come in and say, well, what do I buy? For example, Grainger sells outdoor supplies. Well, I work in an office. What do I need outdoors? Well, I'll tell you what you need. You need batteries. You need first aid kits. These are things that are in our office that we used and bought from Grainger. We bought flashlights. We bought first aid kits. We bought batteries, all of which we've needed here, right? Storms knock out our power all the time. We have flashlights when we need them. And a lot of us are working late into the evening as well. And batteries are something you always need, whether it be for keyboards or speakers or mouses or fire alarms or smoke detectors. They all require batteries. So these are the type of things you need. And if you look, you're going to find a lot of stuff that you can use, but you might not normally go to Quill to buy paper or office supplies. But again, that's the sacrifice. The purpose of these vendors is to use them and let them help you establish initial business credit. So keep in mind, you may have to apply more than once. You may have to buy some things you wouldn't normally buy, but it's well worth the result of getting trade lines on your business credit reports. Okay, so that being said, some of our favorite starter vendors are Uline, Quill, Monopolize Your Marketplace. Grainger is another one. I love Quill. They're my favorite. They have over 1 million products. They're very cheap compared to Staples or Office Depot. Everything I've seen, they're cheaper than them. And you can buy like everything you need, printing supplies. You can get marketing flyers printed. You can get yard signs. I like it because when you're starting a business, you need marketing. They give you access to marketing resources and credit. So that's a win-win. Uline sells shipping supplies. So all kinds of envelopes, packaging. Everybody needs envelopes. If you're doing direct mail campaigns, those type of things. Monopolize Your Marketplace has a bunch of different marketing products, including a 5 CD set that they can sell you that they report to the business credit reporting agencies. Grainger seems a little tough because they are outdoors. So if you work outdoors, you'll love Grainger. If you work indoors, then again, revert to first aid kits, revert to batteries, revert to flashlights. And there's a bunch of other stuff on those type of places that you're able to get things that you could possibly need. So even some of the starter vendors are going to want you to have a DUNS number. Some won't. This is why it's deceiving, right? So people will come in and they'll go to Quill and say, hey, man, I got Quill without a DUNS number. That Thai guy is nuts. You don't need a DUNS number. You might be able to do that, but you get to Staples, you don't get approved without the DUNS number, right? And I had that actually happen where I went to Staples and applied for a business to get credit. Staples denied it. I said, that's impossible. I have a well-established Dun & Bradstreet profile. did you run my DUNS number? Well, no. What is your DUNS? I gave them the DUNS, and they immediately approved me based on the DUNS number. So I'm telling you these steps. I'm telling you the ways to do it in order, because you are absolutely, if you use a home address on an application for credit, you will get approved with Staples and Office Depot, but you won't get approved with Walmart. If you don't have a DUNS number, you may get approved for Quill, you may get approved for Uline, but you're not going to get approved for Office Depot and Staples. So you may get approved for some sources without some of these things, but others will not approve you unless you meet this criteria. That's why you want to make sure you have these things like your DUNS number. So sometimes they want trade references or bank references. This is where banks come into it. They're asking for a bank reference because they want to make sure you have a bank account. Other accounts like Sprint, AT&T, T-Mobile, they don't report credit on the business credit reporting to the business credit reporting agencies, but they will issue you credit based on your EIN number without your social. And they can then be used as trade references. So even credit issuers that don't report still have value by being used as trade references, and your bank will be asked for a reference as you start to apply. So this is why you want to have that business bank account set up. Now, again, you may need to try a few times with some places like Uline or Quill before they approve you, but they will approve you. So ways to build business credit, kind of a bonus here. Vendors do not report, again, are not a waste of time because they can be used as trade references. So provide a picture to future lenders that goes beyond the numbers. Remember, if it's not on your business credit report, you could still use trade references to get approved for sources as well. So you want to start monitoring your business credit. Now that you've got accounts, you need to make sure that those accounts are reporting on your actual business credit reports. And that helps you know what's happening and make sure that you know what's being reported and that it's accurate. You want to address all errors as soon as possible. In a world where your payments are your scores based on payment history, you really need to make sure that the payment history is accurate and positive. If it's not, you want to look into it and you want to dispute it. I just did this. I just went through with Equifax, Experian, and Dun & Bradstreet. I just did a check, and I wrote and disputed information with all three of them. And it wasn't actually, none of the information had to do with traded lines at all. It had to do with my SIC code. It had to do with some other things. And I was just interested to learn more about the dispute process. So for example, I learned with Experian that they're getting SIC code data from your tax returns. That's interesting to me. I never knew that until, I don't know, 3 hours ago, until I got my results back from Experian. That's why I experiment with this stuff, to be able to figure out what works, to teach you guys what works. So again, they all give you the ability to dispute. Dun & Bradstreet's free. It's a service called iUpdate. Experian and Equifax, you need their credit monitoring. Experian will do an online dispute through their credit monitoring platform. Equifax will have you mail and email a dispute letter in that you can get after calling the phone number that's available only if you get their credit monitoring. So again, dispute anything that you think is inaccurate, anything you think is inaccurate. If there's a spelling, I had my cell phone on my business report. I flipped out. I don't want that on my business report. So I told them that. They came back, Equifax, and said, well, sorry, it was provided by one of your credit issuers. I said, I've checked with my credit issuers. I disputed it again to get it removed. So anything that's inaccurate, even if it's not a trade line, my advice is to regularly check your report and dispute it. I do it about every quarter. I pull up all my reports and dispute anything that I think is even slightly inaccurate. So you need to make sure you keep on that, and you're pulling your reports to keep an eye on them. Get in the habit of checking the reports and digging into the details, not just the scores. Again, don't just look at your scores. So many people do. Look at every bit of information to make sure that what's on there is actually accurate. Now, we can help you monitor it. You can go to creditsuite.com/monitoring. You don't even need to put EIN-monitoring. You can just go to creditsuite.com/monitoring. And excuse me, we're partnered with NAV, and you can get the cheapest credit reports anywhere at this link, cheaper than anywhere else on the planet. I don't not say that as an exaggeration. It's only $24 a month to get Dun & Bradstreet and Experian. If you go to D&B Direct, it's $159 a month. If you go to Experian, it's $50 a month. So it's $210 a month for what you can only get for $24 at creditsuite.com/monitoring. Now, you can also go directly to the reporting agencies. Here's their links. Feel free to go to them. Equifax charges about $20 a month. They like $19.99 a month. D&B, again, is is $159. They also have a program, I think, for $199. Experian has a bunch of different ones, whether you want to report once a year regularly, but the one that has all the information you're going to want is about $50 a month. So I just pulled up the links here. If you're looking at this to be able to go to it, you can go to dnb.com/credit-builder. With Experian, you can go to smartbusinessreports.com/landing/1217, equifax.com/business/credit-monitor-small-business. Again, this is why we make it pretty simple for you to go to creditsuite.com/monitoring and get what you need, at least to monitor DMB and Experian. Okay, and that gives you an idea of those prices I just kind of ran through with you as well. So update the information if there are errors on there. Again, I update. You do that with DMB, and with Equifax and Experian, as I mentioned, you could do that right from their credit monitoring platform. So with 5 to 8 of these accounts reporting to at least one of the reporting agencies, hopefully more, then you can move on to store credit. So Staples, Office Depot, Lowe's, Home Depot, Amazon, Dell. I mean, almost every major retailer, even Walmart, offers business credit without a personal guarantee, without a personal credit check. So use your EIN on these applications. And again, sometimes they're going to ask for your social, and you have to actually fill out a hard copy application versus an actual online. Staples and Office Depot, perfect examples of this. If you apply for their commercial credit cards, they require your social on the online form. But on the online form at the top, there's a little button you can click, and that will actually, not a button, I think it even says to click here to get their fax application, and that will give you their hard copy fax application. When I apply to Staples and Office Depot, I'm not a big fan of faxing and filling out all the paperwork. I just call them and apply by phone. And when I apply by phone or fax, I do not have to provide a social, whereas their online system, I do. So again, you don't want to provide your social. Sometimes at some places, you might even have to go to different managers because the front end people don't even know what you're trying to do is possible. We've seen this with Nordstrom, for example. Somebody walked in, tried to get a corporate credit card. The front end rep had no idea, got their manager. Their manager didn't have any idea. Their manager called their manager. They didn't. They finally went up to a regional manager in that area that knew exactly how to do this and what was involved. So again, you absolutely never need to provide your social security number on an application for credit. There's no law that requires that. Now, don't get me wrong. It's absolutely highly illegal for you to put any number other than your social security number on an application in a social security number field. You can never put a CPN number or an EIN or nothing can ever go in a social security number field, okay? But you don't have to fill out the social security number field. The social security number is only required in some cases, like getting a driver's license and paying your taxes, but it's not required when it comes to any kind of application for credit. It's your choice whether you supply it or not. So Amazon is very helpful. They report to all 3 reporting agencies. They'll check your business's legitimacy by looking at online listings. I told you, perfect example. They found my phone number was off and they denied me in the past by using these online listings to verify. So to get out of providing a personal guarantee, show at least 3 years time in business or have established credit, either or. So Amazon, when you go to apply, they give you 2 options. They tell you, do you want to apply with a personal guarantee or without? And they tell you your chances of getting it with a personal guarantee are better. So if you've been in business less than 3 years, you're okay. We have a lot of clients in our group, Get Business Credit, on Facebook that get this card. A ton of people. This is probably one of the easiest cards, surprisingly, to get. If you're not part of that group, my suggestion is that you go to Facebook, type in Get Business Credit, and get into that group. Guys, you may never see a group that has as much activity as that one. They just gave us group insights. Facebook just added that. And I just looked today, and over the last 28 days, there's been 10,200 comments and engagements in that group. Over 10,000 in the last 28 days. So people are commonly sharing strategies, sharing results, etc. So it's worth going to Get Business Credit. When you go there, you'll see Amazon is a source that a lot of people will actually get. Now, again, once you have about 5 to 8 cards, you're moving on to store credit. You're then moving on to what's called fleet credit with about 8 to 10 accounts. Conoco, BP, Chevron, Sunoco. There's WEX fleet. There's RGS fleet. Fleet credit is for you to get fuel auto vehicle repairs, and auto maintenance. And it usually comes kind of a tier after revolving credit. They usually want you to have a few more trade lines than getting credit at major stores like Amazon. And it's really good credit to have. Now, again, if you're like me, right, I live, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes from my office. And so I drive my primary vehicle. I do use fuel, but I only gas up my truck, I think once every 2 weeks is all I actually use to get fuel. But then again, I have clients and friends that are in the transportation industry. I mean, these guys own trucking companies. They own landscaping companies with multiple vehicles on the road, and they're constantly fueling their lawnmowers and their trucks. And so, if you're in a business that has to do with anything with transportation, this fleet credit can be a lifesaver to you. An 18 wheeler takes $600 or more to fill up the truck. So you don't want to use your credit to do that. This is where business credit could be a huge relief. And they're very generous on limits here. Like I said, Pilot Flying J is notorious for giving limits of $50,000 or more within a month. Even the highest I've ever seen from a credit issuer comes from them with $200,000 in available credit to somebody that they can use in a month. So the final step is cash credit. This is Visa cards, MasterCards. And once you have about 14 accounts reporting, then you can start moving on to Amex, MasterCard, Visa. So one of our clients just got approved with a Chase Ink card for 20 grand. One of our clients just got $100,000 at PNC Bank. That same client also turned around and started a new business, followed the steps to build business credit, and got $50,000 at PNC. Another of our clients got a $50,000 Amex. Another of our clients got an Amex with no limit. All of those came with no personal guarantee and no personal credit check. That's the final step. As long as you leave your social off, you can do it without the personal guarantee and without the personal credit check. And you'll need about 14 accounts on your business credit reports to do it. So let's look at this and think about this. Business credit scores are based on how you pay. So all you have to do is get one account, pay it as agreed, and if it reports to Experian or Equifax, you get a great score. 3 accounts with DNB to get a good score. So it takes very little to get good scores. So because credit issuers can't just go based on score because it's so easy to get, they look at trade lines, they look at depth. And here's the misconception about business credit. People think you've got to be in business a certain period of time. People think that you have to have certain revenues. It's just absolutely not the case at all. And it's a very well understood myth. If you go to Staples and Office Depot's application, they tell you flat out on the fax application, you've got to be in business 3 years and have 1 year and 1 million in business revenue, or don't even apply. But the reality is, if you went in with 50,000 in revenue and you have 10 trades, they're going to approve you all day long. So their computers are looking for credit score and trade lines. If you have these two, then it's fairly easy to get approved for revolving credit. Here's where it becomes more difficult with loans. Loans become more difficult because then they're looking at your employees. They're looking at your revenue. They're looking at how you manage your bank account, your tax returns. There's other factors than that used because a lot of cases it's being manually underwritten. A person's making the decision. With credit issuers, with credit cards, computers are making these decisions. You and I both know that. So these computers are looking for those credibility points, that checklist. Then they're looking for credit score. Then they're looking for number of trades you have. If you have those things, they're not going to disqualify you because of revenue or time in business. To date, I've never seen that actually happen if somebody has enough trade lines. So again, there can be some time in business requirements in some cases, but it's pretty rare. So a perfect example is Home Depot. Home Depot requires a lot of trade lines to get approved without the PG. Otherwise, they want you to be in business for 3 years. Lowe's, fairly easy to get approved without the personal guarantee, even if you've just been in business a shorter period of time. So there can also be minimum paydex score requirements for some of these sources. So unsecured business finance solutions, something we called UBF, is another thing that you can use because these are Visa cards, MasterCards, Amex cash credit cards that report to the business credit reporting agencies. When you get pre-approved for this program, they'll give you an option. You can either choose just business cards or business and personal cards, which if you don't want stuff reporting in your personal credit reports, you want to go with the business cards. If you want the most amount of money, you go with both. You don't have to provide cash flow or collateral. It's no doc financing. You don't need to fulfill a time and business requirements. Even startups can get it. So with this, it's revolving credit lines. So you're only paying on what you owe versus a loan, and you're getting 0% rate. So it's great for startups because you're getting credit lines you can use and reuse, and 0% for the first 18 months. So it's perfect for startups for these reasons, and for people with high risk industries because they don't care about industries. So basically, with the way this works is that a source works on your behalf to go out and get credit cards. And this source, that's all they do. They just specialize in getting high limit revolving credit cards for business owners. Okay. Nearly always, they're going to get you substantially more credit than you'll ever get on your own. Now, this is an interesting program. We see hundreds of clients go with this funding program every month. It's the most common funding program that we have, and we don't offer it. We can get you with finance sources that do because we tested them all. We know the best ones. And there's always that crazy dude out there that says, oh, this is a scam, it doesn't work, or I can do better on my own. Today, we've tested this time and time and time again. And what we found is that the finance sources that are out there that offer this product will typically get you 3 to 5 times more money than you'll ever get on your own. And anytime anybody questions that, then we pull them into a challenge and we say, okay, let's do a challenge. We'll grab our client and see how much we can get them, same limits as you have on your credit report. You do it, and we'll see who gets more money. And every time that we've seen this challenge, it's 3 to 5 times more the finance source gets than you can get on your own. Okay. So they're getting you multiple credit cards to get you more money, which also means multiple trade lines. And they could typically get you about 5 to 8 times the amount that you're able to get on your own, and the 5 to 8 times the amount of money that you're going to get with just one credit card if you went out to get it. So again, usually you're going to get about 5 to 8 accounts with this, 0% rates for 6 to 18 months, normal interest rates after that. And they also get you the best cards with the most amount of points, which is kind of a side benefit. And there's no assets, there's no collateral requirements. The lender has no collateral to collect in case it defaults, unsecured. So all they're looking at is basically credit quality. Your consumer credit quality has to be about a 680. Now, if you don't have a 680 FICO, then use a guarantor that does. Either of that will work. You can get the personal cards with only a 650 score, but of course we recommend that you get the business cards because you build business credit and get access to a ton of money. So again, credit with no derogatory items, no bankruptcies, no recent accounts on there that are derogatory, any judgments or tax liens, you'd have to be in a payment plan to get approved for this kind of program. And again, you need to have good personal credit or a guarantor that has good personal credit. One or the other needs to be used for you to actually come in and get approved. Okay. So if you're using a guarantor, well, the benefit is that none of this credit reports on their business or on their consumer credit report unless you default. So it's reporting on your business credit report. So you're building business credit while getting access to money. So this works really good. Let's say you have a family member, let's say you have mom, dad, that loves the idea that you're running a business and that they love your concept. And they know you need money to be able to start the business, but they don't want to take money out of their bank account. Well, this is a great option. They can use their credit side as a guarantor. The only adverse impact to them would be if you defaulted on the actual credit. So this is an alternative to vendor credit. Vendor credit, Uline, Quill, Monopolize Your Marketplace, Granger that we talked about earlier, well, they have no credit requirements. You don't need good credit to get those accounts. But with this, you start building business credit with Visa cards, MasterCards, Amex, cash credit, but you do need a 680 FICO or a guarantor that has it. So a couple different options. Now, most of these finance sources will charge you about 9 to 10%. I've seen it as high as 12%. And they'll do that off of what you secure. Always be careful if these guys charge you up front. We've worked with every legitimate credit issuer in the space, and we've worked with a lot that aren't legitimate. And I can tell you that the ones you have to be skeptical of are the ones that charge you up front. but almost all of them, every legitimate one we've seen charge you a success fee only off the money you actually get. And you're going to pay about an average of a 10% fee off what you get for this program, which if you think about it, you're going to pay 5 to 7% fee with even an SBA loan. And just like an SBA loan, they let you roll it in. You could use the credit you get to actually pay the bill. So you want to have about 30% utilization or lower. You want to have less than 6 inquiries. Remember, I used this as an example earlier, telling you that even 1 or 2 inquiries can cost you 20, 30 grand. And again, a lot of these services work with the credit bureaus, so they could rapid rescore your credit. If you need to pay accounts down, they can do that with you and help you do that pretty quickly. We even have one of these sources will lend you the money to pay down your credit cards. So if your credit card's $3,000 too high, they'll lend you the $3,000 to pay down the credit card, give you a loan, then they'll help you get the actual revolving credit. Then you use the revolving credit to pay back the actual loan. So there's a lot of options. If you're overutilized or have too many inquiries, you can reach out to us and let us know. We'll get you the finance source that can help you with those. So reasons you should build business credit. Let's recap. Remember, business credit means your personal credit's untouched. You're separating the personal and business credit. You're keeping your utilization low on your consumer credit to maximize your scores. You're not putting inquiries on your consumer credit report. And again, getting credit before you need it makes it easier for you to get the best terms on loans when you go to apply and be able to access money when you actually need it. And remember, payment history and credit history do matter. How you pay your bills, how long you've had credit, these things factor into the ability to get loans, credit lines, and business credit. But you got to build business credit the right way. You got to make sure that business is set up legitimately. Then you want to do that free search at creditsuite.com/reports and get your DUNS number after you've got your EIN number, after you've set up your entity. You want to start with starter accounts. We do it 2 different ways. You can use these starter vendors like Uline, Quill, monopolize your marketplace, or you could do it with unsecured business financing as an option as well to get the initial accounts. Then you move on to fleet credit cards, then to Visa card, MasterCards, and American Express. The whole process takes less than 6 months if you know what to do and don't run into hiccups. And this is one of the places we can help you. I put out a lot of education for you to do this on your own. The problem everybody runs into is what happens when something goes wrong? What happens when you don't get your DUNS number? What happens when things don't report like they should? What happens when you get denied? Those are the things that will put the brakes on and take you a lot longer. So again, we can help you with this. Keep in mind that what we do is take years of business credit building and condense it to months because we help you avoid those pitfalls. And if you get stuck, we help you quickly get unstuck to move on. So again, I like to say that in business, you have a choice to make in almost everything you do. It's either time or money. You can either sacrifice your own time and save the money from paying somebody else to do what they do, or you can spend more money and then save the time. In our world, you kind of get the best of both worlds because we're giving you so many things for free and at a discount that it's actually cheaper to use us than build it on your own. So if we can help you in that area, let us know. And remember, the unsecured business financing can work as well in place of vendors. And again, if we can ever help you, then just reach out to us, let us know. So I'm going to open this up for questions. Don't forget to grab your free guide at creditsuite.com/EIN. And also, again, if we can ever help you when it comes to building your business credit, let us know. There's a lot of things that we do just to help expedite this process for you. So if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in. John Oberby, will we get copies of the slides today? Not if you're a partner, yes. If you're a partner with us that's actually partnering with us to offer business credit financing, these slides, all my PowerPoints go in your back office, and so do videos. Of the actual, we have this done into professional voiceover format, and that's put in your back office to use for marketing purposes for you to sell business credit financing. But no, if you're not a partner, we don't give out the slides because that's just something exclusive we do for people that are our partners. And that's kind of an arrangement that we have with our partners, that the content that we put out, they'll have access to as well, and that it's exclusive content. So, but yes, if you are a partner, you absolutely get access to the slides and the video. They may even already be in your back office. If you're interested, you can always go to creditsuite.com/ or just go to creditsuite.com, click on pricing. If you go to creditsuite.com or creditsuite.com and click on pricing, or creditsuite.com pricing, you'll see 3 different enrollment levels. The first is core. That's just if you want business credit financing for your business. The second is VIP, and that's if you want to offer business credit financing as a service. And the third is ultimate, which is also if you want to offer business credit financing as a service, but that one comes with your own CRM type marketing platform, that comes with your own sales funnel, and all your marketing materials are set up for you. So you go to creditsuite.com pricing, Rick, and look at the VIP or ultimate. We don't expect you to see a webinar or look at our website and enroll. Give us a call. We'll talk to you more. We'll get you videos that walk you through, show you the whole program, et cetera, et cetera. Kim, how do I become a partner? Kim, just answer that question for Rick. So there you go. creditsuite.com pricing. You can look at core, VIP, or ultimate. But my recommendation is just call us, 877-600-2487, or email us, info@creditsuite.com. We put you in the business of offering business credit financing. You're doing it through our white label program. Our team does the servicing for you. It helps the customer through the process, all white label. We do it in your business name, your business branding, et cetera, et cetera. And we give you everything you need to be successful running your own business credit business, from email content to social media to articles and press releases, free reports and ebooks and PowerPoints and webinars and videos. And I mean, just everything. It's basically like a franchise without you paying a hefty franchise fee. So Kim, hopefully that answers your question, and Rick, that helps you as well. First question answered, perfect. Okay, so if you have any other questions, please let us know. Otherwise, feel free to reach out to us. You now know the 7 reasons you should build business credit. We talked about more than 7, and the 7 ways to do it. We talked about the things to do really in order to build business credit. And again, you know, if you stumble along the way, if you want help, if you want to work with us directly to expedite the results, feel free to reach out to us. 877-600-2487, info@creditsuite.com. Thank you all very much for tuning in. Every 2 weeks, I go live here and do webinars. On the off week, on Tuesday at Monday or Tuesday at 1 o'clock, I do live YouTube. So if you subscribe on YouTube, I'm on my off weeks live on YouTube during this time slot. And then also go to creditsuite.com, and at the top right of our page, subscribe on Facebook and Periscope. Periscope, we go live every Wednesday at 4 o'clock Eastern, and that actually goes live on Twitter as well. And Facebook, we go live every Thursday at 11 o'clock Eastern, and that goes, all of our videos are archived on Periscope and Facebook. What's nice about Periscope and Facebook is you can ask questions and get answers in real time during the training. So it's a really, really, really cool way to go, something that we don't have the ability to do yet for YouTube. So thank you all very much for tuning in. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us and let us know. And don't forget to grab your free guide on building business credit at creditsuite.com /EIN. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.